Game on, players. So just a quick thing before we get started today. This video took a lot longer than it should have done. One of the reasons being I tried to decapitate my thumb unsuccessfully. So I apologise for the wait. Please leave a big bandaged thumbs up. And I hope you enjoy the video. Game on, players. Welcome back to the channel, Game Boys and Game Girls. We're going to do something a little bit different today. This is actually a video response to Retro Ed UK. He asked me to name 5 games I always come back to. Yeah, so I've noticed a few other players make videos on this. So the idea is you name 5 games you always go back to. And then you nominate 5 other gaming content creators to do the same thing. But you know me, I like to do things a little bit differently. As I've seen quite a few others take part in this already, I'm going to give my 5 games. I'm going to nominate 5 people, but I'm going to ask 3 of my own questions which I'm going to sprinkle around in this video. So you better watch it all. I'll also leave the questions in the description and comments section. Everybody's welcome to take part and do their own video response. With all that being said, let's get into it. That's right, my first pick is Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega Mega Drive. And it absolutely blew little blind Mark's mind. Before I had a Mega Drive, all I'd ever played on was my ZX Spectrum and my mate's Commodore 64. I'd never seen a game like this before and just had so much fun playing it. And I can honestly say this is the first console game I fell in love with. I've purchased Sonic the Hedgehog on every console I've owned since the Mega Drive. Well, at least the ones it's been available on. I've even got 2 copies on the PS4 because of the new Origins collection. This is just one of those games, if you've got a spare 5 or 10 minutes, I can just go around collecting rings, do a speed run. And the great thing about the modern version is you've got the save state, so I've got all the levels saved, so I can just pick a level, fight a boss. It's just a nice easy bit of fun. I can be tired after work and I don't really have to think too much, you know, it's just a nice fun little game. Also relaxing, I'm not going to be throwing controllers around getting stressed playing this. So before I nominate anyone for the VR, I'm going to ask my first question. And the first question is, what is the first game you ever purchased with your own money? So mine definitely would have been a ZX Spectrum game, but I'm not going to count that. As 1, I can't remember which one it would have been. And 2, the games were like only $1.99 from down the local corner shop or WH Smith. So I'm going to say Outrun on the Sega Mega Drive. I remember my dad taking me and my brothers to a new shopping centre that had just been built. But he took us into a game shop. I'd managed to save up €20 dollar pounds from pocket money and dishing out hand jobs. Paper round. So as I was browsing through the games, which by the way back then cost €40 dollar pounds, I saw Outrun, which I didn't even know was on the Mega Drive, and I absolutely loved on my ZX Spectrum and the arcade. And it was only €20 dollar pounds new. I don't know if it was on sale or it was just a cheap game, but very rare to see a Mega Drive game for 20 quid back then. The funny thing is, I remember taking it home, playing the hell out of it for a couple of days, finding it too easy. I got bored of it, and then I think after a week or 2 I traded it in. So that's another first, the first game I ever traded in. Looking back at it now, I really don't understand, because I love Outrun. It's a great game. Maybe the Mega Drive version was just crap. I haven't played it since, so I really don't know. So if anybody does, please let me know in the comments, or maybe I was just an idiot. So the first person I'm going to nominate is somebody I discovered actually through the Master System Challenge, which I'm a big fan of. And he actually hasn't been taking part in the Master System Challenge since the beginning. So what he does is he's going through every game that's been on the Master System Challenge and he's playing through them all, as well as doing the ones that come week to week. He also does other stuff, like he's played Shredder's Revenge, Double Dragon recently, and a couple of months ago he was also nominated for Girth Tuber of the Month. And for that he made a video featuring Feed Me Chicken. It's hilarious. I definitely recommend you check it out. So my first nomination is...
And his name is... It's John Monday.
That reminds me, John was the second person to nominate me for this VR, so thanks John. And I forgive you for saying in one of your videos the Master System version of Sonic the Hedgehog is better than the Mega Drive one. Pure blasphemy. My second choice for games I always come back to has to be, of course, Final Fantasy VII. This is the game that changed everything for me and could possibly be my favourite game of all time. And before playing this I had no interest in RPGs. But after this I was absolutely hooked on turn-based RPGs. The Final Fantasy series being my favourite of them all. Well, at least the 4 or 5 games that come after this. I'm not a big fan of the latest instalments. And I don't play as many RPGs as I used to since they've moved away from the turn-based system into a more action-orientated one. I remember picking Final Fantasy VII up and being so amazed that it had 3 discs. Me and my mate played it for 18 hours non-stop. We actually broke a PlayStation because it overheated. When I moved to Finland in 2002 and had to leave most of my stuff at my mum's, my girlfriend's friend was kind enough to loan me a PlayStation that she wasn't using with a few pirated games. So the first thing I did, of course, was buy a copy of Final Fantasy VII. And throughout the years when I've upgraded to PS3 and PS4, of course I've had to have a copy on both systems. I play Final Fantasy VII about once or twice a year, and it's actually one of the reasons I started up a YouTube channel. My original idea being I would do walkthroughs starting with Final Fantasy, but then I come to the conclusion if I do like 2-hour videos, who's going to watch them? And then if I split them into shorter videos, I'm going to need to do like 50 or 100 of them. And I just didn't want to be limited to playing one game. So before I give my nomination for the VR, here is my second question. So if you were stuck on a desert island and you could only play one game for the rest of your life, what would it be? And of course you wouldn't be there alone, you would go crazy. You need some company. So you can open up a portal which allows you to take a historical figure or celebrity from any place or time. My choices would be GTA 5, and I've just watched The Fifth Element, so I'm going to have to say Mila Jovovich. What can I say? Man's got needs. So who's going to be my second nomination? Well, when it comes to Final Fantasy VII, one man comes to mind. This is someone who loves the series, possibly even more than I do, and has just started a new series called The Pixel Years. He was voted YouTuber of the Year 2021 and now hosts the competition. He's the kilt wearing, haggis eating, iron brew drinking. I can't say that, I've got to cut it out. Generation Pixel.
Ugh, I'm dead.
Pity the fool.
Game number 3 is Civilization 2 on the PlayStation. I'm not even going to show any gameplay footage to this, because if I start to play I just won't be able to stop. I literally lost months of my life playing this as a teenager. This is the first Civilization game I ever played and it's my favourite. You really had to use your imagination with this one because the graphics were pretty simple even for back in the day. This is a game I find myself playing when the missus and the kids go away for 3 or 4 days and I have to work, so I'm home alone. This is one of those games where you just lose all sense of time. You can be playing and then next thing you know you look up at the clock and 6-7 hours have passed. The funny thing is I always play the game the same way. I start off friendly, diplomatic, and then I just go for world domination, build up my armies and just try to conquer everybody. So I'd mentioned earlier that when I moved to Finland 20 years ago, I basically had to leave all my stuff at my mum's. Well, I'd brought a few things with me as well as my suitcase full of clothes. I'd brought a Guns N' Roses album, a PlayStation 1 memory card and Civilization 2, even though I didn't have a PlayStation at the time. I can't talk about this game anymore because then I'm going to have to go and play it and then I'll be never seen and heard from again. So now we move into my third and final question. What game is so bad that it's good? A guilty pleasure, a game you love to play even though it's a piece of poop. So mine's going to have to be Duke Nukem Forever. I hear you asking, why? I've got my reasons, that's all you need to know. My next nominee has a fantastic YouTube channel. I really recommend you check out Retro Collecting with Retro Ed and Friends, a series made in collaboration with other YouTube retro game collectors. He also has a lot of other great videos. It's Retro Ed UK. Apologies Ed that it took me 2 weeks to respond.
Everybody's Golf.
That's right, Everybody's Golf is a game I always go back to. I've enjoyed every version of the game ever since the original release on the PlayStation at the end of the 90s, and regularly play the most recent version on the PS4 with my kids. It's such a fun, easy multiplayer game to play with friends or family, and that's generally how I play it. Even though you can go online and there's a career mode, I have the most fun just messing about with my kids. I'm not a golf fan, I actually find it quite boring to watch and play. Scratch that, I really do love a good game of crazy golf or mini golf in the summertime, again with family and friends. Everybody's Golf is a really simple, easy game that anyone can pick up. All you really need to use is the X and direction buttons. So why would you want to play some boring PGA golf games when you can play this masterpiece? Anyhows, enough said. The next person I nominate to answer the 3 awesome questions I put today in a video response is a man I could just imagine racing round the golf course in his golf cart like he's playing Outrun, chasing down those grannies. He is the king of the bingo halls, the girthiest man on YouTube, who sings like an angel, the creator and host of Girth Tuber of the Month. Just remember to keep him away from your granny.
What on girth is that?
That's Goldtooth Gaming! The final game I always go back to, if you haven't guessed it already from all the Easter eggs I've been leaving this video, is Worms Armageddon. I'm not sure if I prefer this over the original. They're both my favourite Worm games, but I certainly play this more. I've downloaded it onto my PS4, so it's nice and convenient. And I've recently started playing it with my kids, which is a lot of fun. I can remember back in the day creating teams with silly names, and I had a folder with sheets of paper in as I used to make my own leagues up. This is another one of those great multiplayer games which is best enjoyed with friends or family, although you can play with yourself, by yourself. I've been playing this on and off for like 25 years and it's one I always definitely come back to. So before I give my final nominee for a video response, I just want to remind you all of the questions, and everybody is welcome to take part. The first question is, what was the first game you ever purchased with your own money? The second question is, if you were stranded on a desert island and you could only play one game for the rest of your life, what would it be? And the final question is, what game is so bad it's good? The questions will be available in the description, along with the people I've asked to answer them in a video response. And just remember, if you do want to do a VR, just tag 5 other people. Let's spread the love. So my final nominee is a man who was kind enough to be the 3rd person to ask me to do this video. He's got a great channel and recently put out a video where he visits the arcades at Whitley Bay. He does pick-up videos, he's got some silly videos that really make me laugh. He's got a great sense of humour. He is the one and only... Galloway Gaming 75. Thank you all for watching my stupid video. I really enjoyed doing my first VR. It was nice to do something a little bit different. As I really can't play video games at the moment as my thumb is out of action, I'm not sure when I'll be able to get my next video out. All I'm going to say is lucky it wasn't my writing hand. As my boy Arnie says, hasta la vista baby, I'll be back. Now I'm going to leave you with a little poem narrated by the legendary Sean Connery. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!
Many moons had passed since the worms went to war. Onwards and upwards, bigger weapons than before. Boggy B took cover, he shivered on patrol. The arms race crazy, simply way out of control. Then his friend threw it, the latest device. Boggy B went and got it, against all advice. His tail was split, and his energy lost. How many more will this dreaded war cost? Then came the nuke and the disease tumbling down. If the bug didn't get you, you'd probably drowned. But the worms battled on, through hunger and pain, living to fight, just to victor again. And now it's the curtain call, the final onslaught. No better bullet could you possibly have bought. But spare a thought for Boggy, and with it his friend. So fight with their honor, and fight until the end.
What the?